title of Alumni Fellow is a permanent, lifelong designation. Just as sure as the local quarry stones that were cut and used to build Old Main, a Fellow lays the foundation for future scholars by unfailingly stimulating thought, debate, and action amongst this next generation of leaders. Tonight, we gather together to honor our finest Penn Staters with the most prestigious award given by the Penn State Alumni Association, the Alumni Fellow Award. To begin our evening, please welcome Penn State Alumni Association CEO, Paul Clifford.
Good evening, Penn State alumni, friends, guests, and our new alumni fellows. Where else would you rather be than a room full of Penn Staters? I'm Paul Clifford, CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association, and I'm honored to welcome you to this special event. Welcome also to those who are joining us virtually on our Alumni Association live stream. Congratulations to this evening's 14 honorees. Tonight, with one voice, the Penn State community sings your praise for how well you have swelled thy fame of dear old state. The Penn State Alumni Association is honored to recognize you this evening, highlighting the collective impact that Penn Staters have in their professions, in their communities, and all around the world. These awards carry a lifelong distinction of recognition. Please accept our most sincere congratulations. The Alumni Fellow is the most prestigious award given by the Penn State Alumni Association. This year and every year, a special group of our most outstanding alumni are nominated by their colleges or campuses and selected by an awards committee. The Alumni Fellows are invited back to Penn State to share their expertise with faculty, staff, and most importantly, our students. Before presenting tonight's award, I'd like to highlight some of the history of the Alumni Fellow Award. The award that you'll see tonight were designed by alumna and artist and previous recipient of the Alumni Fellow, Jean Stevens Solomon. We are privileged to continue this tradition as we proudly welcome 14 new honorees into the ranks of Penn State Alumni Fellows. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Neely Benduputi, who began her tenure as Penn State's 19th president on May 9th of 2022. With nearly a 30-year career as a leader in higher education and business, Dr. Benduputi is a renowned educator, academic, and executive. She leads Penn State's 24-campus network and an online world campus with a keen focus on advancing excellence, creating opportunities for students, faculty, and staff to thrive. Before coming to Penn State, Dr. Benduputi was the president of the University of Louisville, where she oversaw a series of transformative efforts spanning academics, finance, the health enterprise, philanthropy, athletics, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, and much, much more. She previously served in a variety of administrative roles, including provost, executive vice chancellor, and the dean of the School of Business at the University of Kansas. Dr. Benduputi has also worked in the private sector. She has served as the executive vice president and chief customer officer for Huntington National Bank, and she has consulted for dozens of the world's largest companies and organizations, including AIG, Procter & Gamble, and the U.S. Army. Dr. Benduputi is a values-driven leader who develops and articulates clear and compelling visions for success. She believes strongly in the transformative power of higher education and its impacts on individuals and communities. Driven by a commitment to fostering student success and the student experience, a sense of belonging for all Penn Staters, and access and affordability, she continues to advance the university's values and its land-grant mission of teaching, research, and service. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Neely Benduputi.
Wow, I knew you were bright individuals, but it's really bright up here. Thank you, Paul. I am so very, very pleased to be here today to share this evening with our outstanding alumni. It is so impressive. And I told some of the family and friends here, you better treat this group particularly nice these next couple of days. Because guess what? We have about 770,000 living alumni. And for these individuals to be selected here, that is a really big deal. It's impressive, but it's actually not surprising to see how much they have accomplished and to hear how their Penn State education has shaped their lives. It is truly a privilege and an honor to recognize this year's Alumni Fellows. And you are particularly special to me. I'm in month 5 on the job, and you are my inaugural class of Alumni Fellows. So it's very special, and I hope to keep in touch with each and every one of you. So I will begin tonight's presentation by inviting our first honoree, Jeffrey Conrad, to the stage. While Jeffrey makes his way up on the stage, let me tell you a little bit about this accomplished alum. Jeffrey is a graduate of the College of Agricultural Sciences and currently serves as president and founder of AGIS, the Capital LLC in Boston. It's an investment firm focused on farmland and related operating companies. Jeff is a valued expert in agricultural investing and impressively has been featured in top financial publications. Folks, you will be so impressed. I will read out only a couple because it's this long. It's Barron's, the Financial Times, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and his expertise has also led him to appear on the BBC, CNBC, and Bloomberg News, to name just a few. Jeff is a firm believer that a student's financial situation should not dictate whether they can pursue their educational goals. And over the years, he's created 3 endowed scholarships for students in both the College of Ag Sciences and the Smeal College of Business. This is amazing, Jeff. More recently, he made a $1 million gift supporting the newly named Jeffrey A. Conrad Center for Sexual and Gender Diversity, and he's a supporter and mentor for the College of Agricultural Sciences Students for Cultivating Change Club. This is a student organization that's leading and supporting LGBTQ+ efforts inside the college. Jeff grew up in central Pennsylvania, not far from the University Park campus, and he credits 4-H for helping him find his way to the Penn State College of Agricultural Sciences. One nominator shared, because of the impact 4-H had on his life and the understanding that a membership fee can be a barrier to a child or a family's participation in 4-H, each year, Jeff and a lifelong friend of his cover the costs of the 4-H membership fees for youth in Juniata? See, I'm still learning, Juniata County. Jeff, a first-generation college student himself, recognizes how 4-H not only helped him finance his college education, but also exposed him to the wider world outside his small rural hometown. Jeff, welcome home, and congratulations on being named an Alumni Fellow. We are all so proud of you. Let me hear a huge round of applause from everybody.
Well, thank you, President Benduputi, for that introduction. It's really, really tough to follow people like that. So, but I also want to thank the university, the Alumni Association, and the College of Ag Sciences for this honor. I'd like to recognize my family, my friends, and my husband, Jeffrey, for their support, and they're here this evening. So thank you. And a very special thanks to my dear friend, Misi Baker, who is a fellow 4-H Pig Club member from many years ago that nominated me for this award. And she is also a past recipient of this award. So thank you, Misi. My trip to Penn State was pretty easy. Growing up in that farm, small dairy farm, and being involved in 4-H, I got exposed to Penn State numerous times. So when it was time to go to college, I was going to Penn State. I found the ag business management major. It allowed me to combine agriculture and my interest of finance and capital markets, and that gave me a great foundation to have a career traveling the world, doing investment deals, meeting great people, and also doing some successful transactions. During that career, I have worked with a lot of Penn State graduates. And the one thing that I noticed about the graduates of Penn State is that they are very resilient, and they do have a quality to thrive and be successful in almost any environment. And I do believe that's the same traits that we see in a Nittany lion. So those are great traits and something that I took away from my time at Penn State. And they also are the same traits, I think, that LinkedIn might have focused on when Penn State was named a leading producer of future CEOs a few years ago. And that's a very impressive credential. So to finish up, I just want to thank everyone who made this trip. Hope you have a great evening. And again, thanks for this honor.
And now for our next honoree, Charles Dages. Charles, would you please come and join me? Charles Dages earned his degree from the College of Engineering and has spent more than 35 years as an entertainment executive at Warner Brothers and CBS. According to one nominator, he is a visionary leader, exceptional engineer, and entrepreneur extraordinaire, whose interdisciplinary innovations have brought new translational technologies and business opportunities to the TV, motion picture, video game, film restoration, and communications industries. During his career, Charles led the creation of a complete digital facility for the Ellen DeGeneres Show, I know it well, managed the launch of the Warner International Channel, Extra, and the Rosie O'Donnell Show, and he designed and built the innovative WBTV network digital infrastructure, which was later recognized with a technical Emmy. You may have also seen his work in the Ed Sullivan Theater for The Late Show with David Letterman, the CBS Evening News Studio, and the technical facilities for the 1992 and 1994 Winter Olympics Games, among many, many others. Charles also led the various divisions of Warner Brothers in bringing their expertise and creative resources to the global fight against AIDS, earning Warner Brothers a Global Business Coalition Award for Business Excellence for this work. Charles has served as a member of the U.S. delegation of the UN General Assembly on HIV/AIDS and on the U.S. President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, for which he received a Certificate of Appreciation from Ambassador Eric Gooseby in 2013. Charles continues to serve as a board member for several companies and organizations, including the Nonprofit Partnership for an HIV-Free Generation, Digivation, I love that, Digivation Camps for Innovation, and the Barbara Bush Foundation for Family Literacy. You are all extraordinary. Congratulations, Charles. It's a privilege to honor you with our Alumni Fellow Award.
Well, I'd like to first of all tell everyone how excited and happy I was to hear this on the phone when I was told that I was going to win tonight, or not win, but actually be awarded. I'm used to that Emmy thing, you know, there's winners and but I'd like to thank first the Alumni Association. I'd like to thank the president for the nice introduction. I'd also like to thank all of the people who work in the Alumni Association and how they've actually made this a very easy event for me to come to. I'm just speechless as to how kind everyone is. In any event, I'd like to just go back as I was sitting, and I had 2 minutes to do this in, but I wanted to talk a little bit about my career and what Penn State meant to me. Quite frankly, my wife told me I couldn't keep a job when we first got married. Kathy, you're out there somewhere. I kept moving as an engineer from one place to another, first General Electric, and then I moved over to a company here in Pennsylvania called Gerald Electronics. And that's how I became attached to Penn State. The founder of that company, which was outside of Philadelphia, actually what became later, after he left the company and sold it, the 40th governor of the state of Pennsylvania. And he was the one that convinced us that this is the place to be, this is where you get your degrees, advanced degrees, this is where you should tell other people to come. And I truly believe that the we are conversation is beyond just the football team. I believe that whenever I met a Penn Stater anywhere in the world doing anything, it was, can we do this? And they would say, we can. And it meant that they had the confidence because they had come to a school like Penn State that had so many varieties of different types of ways of enhancing people's lives that they were successful at what they did. So all of those things you heard about me, I had a lot of people that helped me, and a lot of them that were from Penn State. I'd like to thank my wife, Kathy, as I said, and my 3 children, grown children, and the 10 grandchildren that we have. And they're not anywhere in Penn State, but they're in Ohio and New Jersey, so we drive through Penn State a lot to go see them on holidays. I think one of the interesting things that happened as I was going to jot down the notes for tonight is that I found in my early days it was the company with the entrepreneur and the governor of Pennsylvania name who was pioneering cable television at the time. And I was very fortunate to be there because this is the home of cable television in the late 40s and early 50s. And then the second place I went was a company called it would be called Warner Brothers and CBS. And those companies had a different type of attitude that the world was where we had to operate, not just in the United States, not just in enhancing things, but the world. We had to have a global vision. And I'm so proud of Penn State for taking up that type of vision from an education standpoint. I guess that's about it. I'd like to, again, thank the school, thank them for what has happened to me, and thank them very much for the award. Oh, there are 2 marks.
Yes. I remember the U.S. Army used to call this the grip and grin. So whoever's taking pictures, you ready?
And it premiered not only many movies, but big movies for Warner Brothers, and brought the film to central Pennsylvania. The brothers started by renting a projector and going to all of the cities and then taking the projectors away. This was their decision to build.
Now you can all see why I was so excited when I read these bios. It's like, wow, this university is an extraordinary place. There's truly no other university like this. So our third honoree, talking about entrepreneurship and taking risks, will Daniel Eichenlob please join me? Daniel Eichenlob is co-founder and current president of Eichenlob Inc., a company that he and his 5 brothers established during high school after responding to neighborhood requests to help clean up downed trees from Hurricane Agnes. Their success from those humble beginnings in their parents' garage allowed each of the brothers to fund college and transform Eichenlob Inc. into a premier upscale, design-build landscape construction firm. According to one nominator, Dan is the definition of entrepreneur. Throughout his career, when an obstacle presented itself, Dan created a business opportunity to solve it. Recognizing the potential of organic materials dumped into landfills, he co-founded the AgRecycle composting company, creating an environmentally friendly market for post-waste products. He also was the founding principal of LandOpt, a dynamic service organization providing managed business processes to landscape contractor companies. Dan has remained committed to Penn State over the decades, and while he earned his degree from Penn State's College of Engineering, his devotion to the entire university manifested itself through involvement and leadership roles within the College of Agricultural Sciences. He has served as a volunteer business consultant for Penn State Extension's modernization of its operational and business infrastructure. He's a member of the college's Entrepreneurship and Innovation Advisory Board and has been an ally in the college's and indeed the Commonwealth's efforts against the invasive spotted lanternfly. In addition, he's established a scholarship, a program endowment, and an apprenticeship program. He's also served as the co-chair of the college's Volunteer Development Council during the most recent campaign. Congratulations, Dan. I am so delighted to recognize you with this Alumni Fellowship Award.
Thank you, Dr. Benduputi. It's an honor to be here, and it's humbling to be included with all the other distinguished alumni here tonight and those that have been recognized in the past for the same award. So I would like to thank Dean Roush and the College of Agricultural Sciences for nominating me, and to the Alumni Association Committee for selecting me. As was stated earlier, my brothers and I were the first generation of college students, and when we stood at childhood's gates, shapeless in the hands of fate, thou didst mold us, dear old state. And so the seeds of my affection with Penn State began. My undergraduate experiences in and out of the classroom ignited a passion that has never waned. With the engagement of 5 deans, many faculty and staff, and my love of students in this institution, here I am today. I've enjoyed tremendous success professionally and personally, and I would like to thank my wife, Barbara, and my children, Anne and her husband, Michael, that are here, and my son, Reed, and unfortunately his wife-to-be is not here, but Celia, and my brothers that are here tonight, and my brothers that are not here tonight, for allowing me the time to share one heart that loves thy name. May our lives but swell thy fame, dear old state, dear old state. Thank you.
I know. I'm counting on it. He said, you'll see me many times. I said, I'm counting on it. And now, we are so honored to recognize Dr. Wanda Jones. Wanda, please join me on stage. Dr. Wanda Jones, a graduate of the Eberly College of Science, has long been recognized for her leadership in the federal and state public health communities. Throughout her career, she has advocated for women's health in improving policy and research practices in public health, emphasizing the elimination of health disparities, addressing HIV/AIDS, as well as violence against women, supporting women with disabilities, and helping women have better access to healthcare services and programs. Dr. Jones was recognized by the United States government in 2011 with the Presidential Rank Award as a meritorious executive of the senior executive staff. In 2020, the Federal Emergency Management Agency selected her to steer a team facilitating actions and cooperation between FEMA, Health and Human Services, and the White House on the Defense Production Act and its use in the COVID-19 response. Since 2008, she has served as the United States Principal Delegate to the Inter-American Commission of Women, and she established and led the Office of Women's Health at the U.S. Centers for Disease Control. One nominator wrote, "Dr. Jones is a leader and advocate for women's health. Her personal qualities and character, strong ethics, grit, and drive to create a more equitable healthcare landscape for underrepresented, underserved women and girls makes her stand out from her peers, and her commitment to improving the lives of those affected by HIV/AIDS and by violence is unmatched." Dr. Jones is currently the Deputy Director of the Office of Research Integrity at the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Congratulations, Dr. Jones. I'm so proud that your incredibly productive career began with a Bachelor of Science from Penn State. Congratulations.
Wow. If my mother were still alive, I'd think she might have written that. And she did tell people once that she couldn't believe I was this old. But I believe she was there. So I'm here tonight before you toward the twilight of my own career that's been quite storied, not a direct line, but it really had its roots in a time in which my parents heard that their girl who was dreaming of going to college and of being something, bigger, stronger, better than my little town in the southeastern corner of the state would be. And my parents were told, oh, no, she can be a nurse or she can be a teacher. Those are jobs for girls. Because otherwise they take jobs away from men who need to support their families. I didn't learn that until I was well into my mid-40s or thereabouts when my mom shared that story with me. But I got to Penn State via a nurturing system that allowed me to find myself, to find my strength, and to grow through the Commonwealth Campus Network that this is so unique to Penn State, where virtually within an easy commute anywhere in the state, everyone has access to a campus, not just an online resource, but a campus where they can grow and learn and build a network. And that's how I came up. I came to University Park late in my academic trajectory as an undergrad, and only was here back in the quarters days, the 10-week quarters, whatever those were called. I was only here 4 quarters and then went off to Pittsburgh to finish my senior year. But it was an amazing time, and I took very seriously the role in helping other students make that transition. So that's been my principal commitment as a Penn Stater, is to help support the Commonwealth campuses and the students who come from small towns or from perhaps lesser resourced backgrounds to make the transition to what's basically a small city here at University Park in State College. And I'm privileged to have been able to do it. So I'm grateful to my family, all my family, to my late husband, who was a #1 champion for me, to my more recently acquired husband. I'm not shopping husbands, but we have many blessings in life, and sometimes we don't know what those blessings are until they pose themselves right in front of our face. So to my husband, Dave, too, who's been a tremendous champion and support in my current job and in looking forward to many more things in life. So thank you all. I'm honored to be among distinguished other alumni, and I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, as we all are, but can't forget where we came from and keep that commitment to keeping Penn State strong, because we are. Thank you.
At this time, obviously, we're in this very, very incredible theater. We're going to have just a 2-minute musical interlude as we welcome John Thompson, and we'll present our next awards in just a moment. Thank you so much, John. Our next honoree in tonight's program is Kevin Lynch. Kevin, please come up and join me on stage. I told you, these people are incredible. Kevin Lynch earned a master's degree in health policy and administration before founding the Quell Foundation, where he is the president and CEO. The foundation strives to reduce the number of suicides, overdoses, and incarcerations of people with mental health illness by increasing access to mental health services, encouraging storytelling around mental health struggles, and providing a pipeline of future mental health care professionals through scholarship support. In his role, Kevin has distributed more than $2.6 million in scholarships to students in all 50 states and across 480 universities. His documentary, Lift the Mask, has been seen by over 250,000 people and actually led to Penn State's own student chapter of the Lift the Mask Club. In 2020, Kevin received the Mental Health America Media Award for his documentary, Portraits of Life with Mental Illness. Prior to the Quell Foundation, Kevin spent 17 years in healthcare on senior management teams and 12 years in the military. He served on the board of directors for the National Alliance on Mental Illness and the College of Health and Human Development's Alumni Board of Directors. He was named the 2018 Affiliate Program Group President of the Year and the HHD 2020 Preceptor of the Year, and he received the 2021 College of Health and Human Development Alumni Service Awards. One of Kevin's nominators wrote, "Kevin is a modern-day hero. The world is a better place because of the work he's doing as a Penn State alumnus, and he is a leader for positive change." A second nominator said, "I can think of no one more deserving of this recognition than Kevin Lynch. His continued selfless service to Penn State and to all who are struggling with mental health issues is an example we should highlight and emulate." I could not agree more. Congratulations, Kevin. It is a privilege to recognize you with the Alumni Fellow Award.
I'm a notes guy, which is important. Thank you very much, President Benduputi. I am very grateful to you. And to Dean Newshafer, thank you so much for your nomination, and to the Alumni Board for your selection of me. I appreciate that. I'm honored to share this dais with so many accomplished people, and I congratulate each of you. It's truly a privilege to also be sharing this night with my family, my dear friends Mike and Laurie, and also Chris Calkins. Thank you so much for joining me here this evening. I have to be honest with you, this has been a really good month for me, and that doesn't happen very often in this space. So my research on reducing mental health stigma has been peer-reviewed and published in the last 2 weeks, and quells 2 documentaries on mental health and mental health awareness within the first responder population. And also the student population have been accepted to film festivals around the globe. So I'm really excited about that. I have to share with you, this is, I've taken a very, very untraditional path to Penn State. But quite honestly, the reception that I received when I finally arrived epitomized the "we are" spirit. From the HBA school to the College of Health and Human Development and on to the HHD Alumni Board, I was welcomed as a Nittany Lion. In fact, the pride that I felt was so complete that I started buying Penn State swag for my grandson before my daughter was pregnant, before my daughter was married. It's a true story. My daughter Jessica is here with us tonight. I believe wholeheartedly that our life and our accomplishments are built on the dreams and efforts of those who have come before us and paved the road ahead of us. So by honoring me with this award, you recognize and celebrate all those who put me in this position to be able to accept it. In July 2012, Dr. Chris Calkins, a dear friend of mine, invited a 49-year-old guy into his first cohort of the World Campus MHA program. In doing so, what Dr. Calkins did was give me the tools and a much louder voice to advocate for a population of people who often do not have somebody to advocate for themselves. Many, many years ago, my son said to me, my son Nick, who is with me here tonight, and I really could not be more proud. Nick said, "Dad, you're never going to be able to make a difference because people don't care about people like you and me." So Nick, I would argue that people do care. We just weren't talking to the right people. I'd like to also give, thank you. I'd also like to give a very special thanks to my wife, Karen, who I absolutely adore. And even though Karen has her own little side hustle going, she has always been my perfect +1. So I would like to leave you with one final thing, because this is Suicide Awareness Month. And I believe that we all have a social and moral obligation to act to the extent of both our personal and professional means to reduce the stigma around mental health. In 2018, the American College Health Association, of which Penn State is a member, produced a research report which stated, statistically, 1 in 12 college students will develop a suicide plan. 1 in 12 college students will develop a a suicide plan. At Penn State, that means 7,400 students across their campuses. So I ask you, and I implore you, to talk to your children, talk to your grandchildren, talk to your friends and your family, because collectively, we can remove the stigma around mental health. Thank you very much.
Now it's my great pleasure to welcome H. Laddie Montague to the stage. All right, I want him to start. Yeah. Laddie Montague earned his JD from Penn State Dickinson Law, and he currently serves as Chairman Emeritus and of counsel to Berger Montague, a civil litigation law firm that bears his name. Laddie is well known for his work as trial counsel in the mandatory punitive damage class action suit in the Exxon Valdez oil spill litigation. For this accomplishment, he shared the Trial Lawyers for Public Justice 1995 Trial Lawyer of the Year Award, and he has served as lead or co-lead counsel in many additional class action suits. He has earned innumerable accolades, awards, and recognitions, but perhaps most telling about his character is that his peers hold him in the highest regard for his fair-mindedness, and I understand they fondly refer to him as the Dean of the Bar Association. Laddie is currently a member of Dean Daniel Conway's Leadership Council Advisory Board at Penn State Dickinson Law, and is the chair of the Dickinson Law Association and the past chair of the Board of Governors at Penn State Dickinson Law. In those capacities, he led his team in negotiating 2 agreements with Penn State, including the establishment of a second campus of the law school at University Park, in addition to the historic Carlisle campus. He also established the H. Laddie and Linda P. Montague chair in law at Dickinson Law, and this is quite remarkable. He has the honor of having the law libraries at both Penn State law schools bearing his name. According to a nominator, Laddie is among the most influential figures in the 186-year history of Penn State Dickinson Law. This nominator went on to say, the story of Dickinson Law could not be told, and its successes could not be celebrated without the myriad contributions of H. Laddie Montague, Jr. The depth and breadth of his impact are immeasurable and exceedingly deserving of recognition. Laddie, it is my honor to honor you with the Alumni Fellow Award. Please.
Wow, thank you very much. I don't know who nominated me, but I certainly appreciate it, and especially after being in the company of everyone else who's been nominated for this award. It's an incredible honor knowing who else has been involved. I gave a lecture this morning to the first-year class at Dickinson Law in Carlisle, and one of the questions they asked is, what was your greatest accomplishment? Or what were a couple of your greatest accomplishments? And I said, number one was shepherding the relationship between Dickinson Law School and Penn State into what it is today. And it had a lot of growing pains. It went through a lot of presidents, ups and downs, but I have to say, today it has established a great stability in our relationship and a great success for the Dickinson School of Law in Carlisle. So while I am an inherited alumnus of Penn State, I am very proud of it, and tonight is icing on the cake. Thank you all so much.
Now, it's my great honor to invite Jean Olwang to join me on stage. Jean. Jean Olwang received her degree from the Smeal College of Business and is the founding CEO and president of Virgin Unite, an entrepreneurial foundation that builds collectives, incubates ideas, and reinvents systems for a better world. Jean proposed and launched this nonprofit branch of the Virgin Group to Sir Richard Branson in 2004, and over the last 18 years, she's worked with partners to lead the incubation and startup of several global initiatives. Now, Jean, this is the honest truth. I had a copy of your book, Partnering, in my bookshelf. Well before I knew you were being honored, I read it too. I brought a copy so you know it's the truth. Jean, honestly, this was one of those that was in my... So I wasn't getting a freebie. I ordered it and got it, I promise you. This was months ago. Jean is the author of Partnering, I strongly recommend it, and co-founded Plus Wonder to spark more meaningful, deep connections and collaborations in the world. She's helped corporations put the well-being of people and planet at their core, including working with more than 25 Virgin businesses across 15 industries to help embed purpose in all that they do. Jean spent 18 years working on 6 continents to help start and lead mobile phone companies, including serving as joint CEO of Virgin Mobile in Australia prior to starting Virgin Unite. Nominated noted Jean's passion, how it explores the overlap between the business and social sectors. And you'll see why, because she gets it. Because she understands, she's developed the 100% Human at Work initiative, which is founded on the belief that the time has come for businesses to start thinking of people as human beings and not as resources. This shift in culture is explored as a natural, positive impact to the bottom line. Jean has also supported a wide range of areas of importance to Penn State, including board service, sharing her unique career insights at events, and giving philanthropically. She's been honored with numerous distinctions, including the Smeal College of Business's 2021 Gerald I. Sussman Sustainability Leadership Award, the Beta Gamma Sigma International Honoree Award, and has been featured as a TED and TEDx speaker. Her selfless, humble impact and commitment to student success here at Penn State is mirrored by a quote from a nominator. She makes individuals feel important, that they have so much to contribute to the world, regardless of who or where they are, and it's because she genuinely believes it herself. Our students here at Penn State believe it too, and it's a privilege to present you with this Alumni Fellow Award, Jean. Please.
Thank you, President Benduputi, and thank you for that introduction. I think I'm just going to move this up. And I just want to take and record that and package it and bring it with me everywhere. So thank you. That was so beautiful. And I also want to say thank you for buying my book. It's lovely. And I also want to say a huge thanks to the Alumni Association. And also a very, very special thanks to Dean Whiteman for not only nominating me, but also for just his incredible leadership, and also to his amazing team at Smeal and to the Board of Visitors. And huge congratulations to George and to Larry, and just again, I feel so privileged to be here with all the awardees tonight. And we are who we are through the relationships that we shape in our lives. So I first just want to say thanks to my family and friends. I have my amazing sister Carol with me, her husband Matt, and my brilliant husband Chris with me. And I also just want to say a shout out and thanks to my parents who are here with me in spirit. And my sister almost made me just cry because she brought a picture of them with her. And so they are up there, and they are big dancers and jokesters, so they may cause a ruckus at some time tonight. And I also just want to say a big thanks, special thanks to my father, who was such a wonderful man. He worked harder than any human being I've ever seen in my life so that all of us could have the possibilities that we did in life. And he is a big reason why I'm standing here tonight. And I also wanted to say thanks to all the teams and partners I've worked with throughout my career. It's their hard work, their love, their embracing of my absolutely crazy entrepreneurial ideas and my inability to say no is one of the reasons also why I'm standing here tonight. And when I think of Penn State, I think of these beautiful big doors that open to all of us of possibilities when we leave here. And so I just want to give a shout out of a few of those possibilities that came to me, that were doors that opened for me from Penn State. And the first one was just simply a belief in myself as a young woman that I could do anything, which probably drove my parents crazy, but it allowed me to live a life of possibilities rather than limitations. And the second thing I want to say thanks for is just the enduring friendships I made here. They started way out in the netherworld of East Halls, cemented on the dance floor at the Skeller, and have become lifelong friends. And then the third thing I want is just a commitment to a lifelong, living a life of service. When I was here, Smeal had us doing lots of projects in the local communities, and that was the start of my journey. And then lastly, I want to say huge thanks to opening the doors to the electric current of different cultures in my semester abroad. And I actually want to say thanks to Kelly Lynch, because we were reminded tonight, she opened her home to me in London all those years ago when she was studying with me in that semester abroad. And that started and sparked for me decades of working overseas. And Chuck and Michelle from Smeal found me in London and reconnected me with the university, which I will be forever grateful for. And I think in a world today where there are so many interconnected problems and unacceptable issues, I feel so honored and proud to be part of a university that's nurturing this next generation of morally courageous leaders. And what a joy today to spend time with some of them. I left those sessions today just filled with hope. And so I guess I'll close with my favorite quote, which is not really a quote because it's a question. And it's from one of my favorite people, Mr. Rogers. And the question is, who has loved you into being? So I just want to close by saying thank you to Penn State for loving me into being, and so many of us in this room into being. It is such an honor to be here with you tonight.
And now it's my great honor to invite Dr. Cornell Pawarti to please join me on stage. Dr. Cornell Pawarti, a graduate of the College of Education, is Professor Emeritus of Indigenous Nation Studies at Portland State University and is the Vice Chairman of the Comanche Nation. He has a profound belief in the power of Indigenous education and of higher education, and he has dedicated his life's work to bringing these two forces together to improve both. Dr. Pawarti began his career in education as an elementary teacher and principal on the Navajo Reservation in New Mexico. He is also a founding member of the National Association for Multicultural Education. Dr. Pawarti returned in 2017 from Portland State University, in 2017 from Portland State University, where he served as director of the Indigenous Nations Studies program. Prior to joining Portland State, he received numerous accolades for his time spent teaching at the University of Kansas, my alma mater, and he served as the first academic dean of Comanche Nation College. Throughout his career, Dr. Pawarti has been honored extensively for his work with notable distinctions from the National Conference on Race and Ethnicity, as well as the AARP Oklahoma Indian Elder Honors Award, the Oregon Indian Education Association Outstanding Indian Educator of the Year, and Portland State University's President's Diversity Award. In addition to his esteemed career in education, Dr. Pawarti is a talented musician who uses his craft to educate people about the history and culture of Native Americans. As a music composer, he writes songs that reveal an interest in the evolution of the Southern Plains powwow and gourd dance songs, and over time, how these were shaped by the training of elder tribal singers. Dr. Pawarti remains engaged with the Penn State College of Education community, collaborating with faculty in the college to enhance the American Indian Leadership Program, which was founded in 1970 and is one of the oldest and most successful programs of its kind. Spending a career helping to prepare and support future generations of Indigenous scholars and leaders, he epitomizes what it means to be a Penn State alumnus. For this and so much more, Dr. Pawarti, it is our honor to present you with the Alumni Fellow Award.
Marawa, Tibeti Chad, Cornell Pawarti. It's really an honor to be here. I don't come back to Penn State that often. Probably been 30, 35 years, but I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to be here with you. I'm not sure who nominated me, but I got a feeling Stephanie Thompson and Holly Calago might know. But I enjoyed today, this morning. I was with my partner, my wife, Dr. Nakona Pawarti, talking about our research. The title was The Hunt for Red Pedagogy. And so really just looking at how we are to engage our Native students and everybody when it comes to critical analysis. And so that's part of my work, and I want to say thank you. Even the Dean of the College of Education was there, Kimberly Lawless. Thank you very much for listening and listening to the students. And Stephanie, thank you for being a fine host, and Holly, of course, our colleague in all the Indigenous issues, part of it. And thank you, Steve Wilson. But I do, President Benduputi, I do appreciate the opportunity to be here. We do have a KU connection. Believe it or not, KU and Penn State are 4-0 at this point of football season. Quite remarkable as we begin to look at things like that. But you know that I was really happy that there is land acknowledgement in course syllabi at Penn State, and going on to remember whose land it was here, and based upon land grant universities. All the universities and colleges throughout the United States are on Indigenous land, and that you acknowledge that, and that the Dean has that announcement. I truly appreciate that, because I remember the stories, and I showed that today, about the children that were stolen from their homelands hundreds of years ago and placed in Carlisle boarding schools. I think about those kids, and many of them that did not return, and Carlisle's here in Pennsylvania. That's the story we live with. That's the story we repeat, because we have this element of healing to take place called intergenerational grief. We cannot forget what has happened to us, because we learn those lessons. So I just wanted to share that with you, given this opportunity that we have right now. But this opportunity that I have been given, been recruited here at Pennsylvania State University in the 80s, was remarkable, because I had different opportunities, but I wanted to come here because there was a legacy that had already been established, just like the president talked about. Dr. Michael Charleston, Grace Anili, those are the people that recruited me. Those are Choctaw people. The very first Native teacher in my entire career was right here at Pennsylvania State University. And so I think about that when I go into those classes and I talk to those Native students today that are here at Penn State. You have quite a legacy. So I just wanted to share that with you, because it means a lot just to be coming back, just to echo the stories that we have, to be a part of colleagues and brothers and sisters that have also had this legacy. I'm not here by myself. Just like one of the other fellows, we stand on the shoulders of those that came before us. Nothing new that I teach my students. It's all comes from echoing, listening carefully to who taught us, to repeat those lessons so we don't repeat them, the tragedies of the past. So as I began to look at Penn State, my desire that it becomes a healing university, one that looks at reciprocity, looks at laying acknowledgement for all the nations that are here as we move forward. My father was a prisoner of war. My uncle was a code talker. They served their time in this country to be here. So we have a proud legacy. So I want to thank my family, my daughter, my son, 6 grandchildren, and my wife, my partner, my life, right here in Tacoma. I love you. So with that, I would just like to say thank you for the opportunity to come back and be with you, to celebrate all the things that you're doing. I'm very proud to be Penn State. We are.
If you don't get goosebumps and excitement with each of our speakers, you better see one of our physicians. Next, it's my honor to invite Lawrence Raymond to please join me. Lawrence Raymond is a graduate of the Smeal College of Business, and he serves as the managing principal, CIO, and portfolio manager of LDR Capital Management. Before founding LDR Capital Management in 2010, Larry had a 3-decade career in finance. He was a managing director at Donaldson, Lufkin & Jenrette, Credit Suisse Group, for more than 15 years. During his tenure at Credit Suisse, Larry supported the firm's global real estate securities business with a team of professionals located in New York, Zurich, and Sydney. At its peak, his global real estate securities business managed $2.6 billion on behalf of investors. Prior to this role, he was an institutional investor-ranked research analyst for covering real estate investment trusts or REITs. Larry is a CPA with expertise in all aspects of portfolio management, securities analysis, and institutional marketing. He also served as an adjunct professor at Columbia Business School, teaching introductory real estate finance to students. Larry Raymond has served as a mentor to Penn State students, a host for internships and events, and a volunteer on Penn State development campaigns. He's a member of the Urban Land Institute, the National Association of Real Estate Investment Trusts, the International Council of Shopping Centers, and a lifetime member of Beta Sigma Beta. He's a former member of the Smeal College of Business Institute for Real Estate Studies Advisory Board and the Liberty Property Trust Board. Among his accomplishments, on behalf of Smeal College of Business students, he conceived the idea of a REIT stock pitch competition as a way to engage students in learning more about the real estate industry. Here, students are invited to select and research an investment option that's focused on real estate investment trusts, and then pitch their idea to a panel of industry professionals. For students in the program, these real-life experiences prove vital to the learning process and to lay the foundation for a portfolio of work. Larry, we are so proud and so grateful to present to you with the Alumni Fellow Award.
Thank you, Neely. And I'm truly humbled and honored to be here this evening. I'd like to thank the Penn State Alumni Association for granting me this tremendous honor. I'd like to thank Rich Bundy and the development team who's helped work with me for so many years, doing such amazing things for students and our fantastic faculty. And last, and actually top of the list, I'd like to thank Dean Whiteman and the Smeal College of Business for supporting my nomination tonight and doing such amazing, excellent job and helping our fantastic students scale such great heights in our lives and in our careers. When I arrived at Penn State and State College yesterday, I thought yet again that I grew up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I've lived in New York for over 40 years, but I'm home here at Penn State. I still remember my parents dropping me off as a green 17-year-old freshman up in East Halls. Dad and Mom, you're upstairs right now, and hopefully you're proud of your boy. My parents pulled away, dropped my bags on the doorstep and said, call us every Sunday night and keep checking in. That was unfortunately before cell phones. Yes, that's the way it was, but I was pretty darn scared. I was on my own, and I really had no clue about who I was in life. 4 years later, I was a mature person, armed with a fantastic higher education. Leaving Penn State, I had the wherewithal to think critically. I had the maturity to stand on my own 2 feet. And most importantly, at Penn State, I gained the understanding of how to be a charitable person, how to be loyal to those in my community, and how to pay it forward. That was the experience that I gained at Penn State. I stand here tonight truly blessed. My greatest blessings are my 2 boys, Alex and Mark. They're now watching me by stream in Los Angeles and Miami. They're incredible young men. I also stand blessed to have such an amazing family that we are in support of each other through thick and thin, and a network of friends that are more like brothers and sisters. As of tonight, I also stand as and count as blessing the honor of being named an Alumni Fellow. Rest assured that this Alumni Fellow will do everything possible to continue to pay it forward to Nittany Nation. To that end, my probably greatest career accomplishment is that I'm most proud of having a long-standing relationship with so many young Penn State undergrads and now grads. My mentor relationship has borne fruit and has been so mutually beneficial beyond all of our wildest expectations. We speak about life goals, we speak about career goals, career roadmap, and I take great pride in all of their accomplishments. Most importantly, I take pride in the fact that they've learned through the process how to pay it forward to future generations of Penn Staters. And we look forward to doing just that. Thank you very much.
And once again, we have a short musical interlude as we welcome John Thompson, and then we'll be back to present our final awards in just a minute. Thank you. And now, Lloyd Siegel, would you please join me? Lloyd Siegel is a graduate of the College of Arts and Architecture and managing principal at Cohn Pedersen Fox Associates, a leading architectural firm with high-profile projects around the world. He's played a key role in managing the 700-person global firm and oversees many of its biggest and most complex projects in international urban centers. Just you wait, you'll find out. Lloyd has worked across the United States, Europe, South America, and Asia, stewarding projects and serving as principal in charge for many of these projects, including the Mohegan Sun Resort in Connecticut, the Samsung headquarters in Korea, and the Honey Center in China. He also adds to his portfolio Prudential headquarters in New Jersey, the Infinity Tower in Sao Paulo, Brazil, the Heron in Tampa, Hudson Yards in New York, and the recently completed art house at South Broad and Spruce in Philadelphia. Taking on large-scale projects and finding solutions to challenges is what many nominators echoed in their support of Lloyd. They noted his ability to inspire clients to see the big picture and to collaborate on the entire project down to its finest details. In fact, finding solutions to these challenges seems to be a point that Lloyd not only excels at, but thrives on. One nominator said, Lloyd, that you thrive on it almost delightfully. As a longtime supporter of the Department of Architecture at Penn State, Lloyd has mentored numerous architecture and architectural engineering students and has helped high school students win scholarships and land eventual jobs at top architectural firms. Lloyd's spirit of bringing those around him together can be seen through numerous New York-based field trip opportunities that he has helped to create and curate for Penn State students and alumni. These building blocks of student connections certainly lay the foundation for a strong connection to future Penn State students. For that, the Penn State community is certainly humbled to call you, Lloyd, one of our very own. We're honored to present you with the Alumni Fellow Award.
Let me adjust this up. Just a note, I'm following a real estate executive, architect following a real estate executive, which is kind of ironic. I feel like I'm home. Spent the last 2 days here in State College. It's like I never left. It's been 5 years in this neighborhood. The architectural studios were over in the engineering units, over by the president's house. I lived 2 blocks away over on South Gill Street, so this was my neighborhood. All the bars and restaurants, the diner, that's where I hung out. So it's really great to be back, and I love coming back to State College. A few months ago, Dean Carpenter, Arts and Architecture, called me. Told him I wasn't feeling very well, I wasn't sure what was going on. Later, I found out I had COVID, but that was okay. He said he had news to cheer me up. And read from one of the letters nominating me for the award. That letter was written by one of my dearest friends, John Hoke. John was a classmate from the class of 1988. John received the same award 14 years ago. So that's 2 alumni from the same very tiny class of 24 people getting this award. John and I have maintained closeness for the last 40 years. We met 1983 as two awkward, 18-year-old kids trying to figure it out. We had big hair. He still had hair. Mine was just really thick. We had, big dreams, big ambitions. And John went on to become chief design officer at Nike. I became a managing partner in a large architectural firm doing global work. It's just an amazing story. We spent a day a couple of weeks ago in Bryant Park in New York and told a lot of stories. It's just keeps going. But I think the key secret to John and I might be our wives. We both married Penn State women, and we're still married to the same woman. But my wife majored in liberal arts, 1987. But more importantly, she was a waitress at the Skeller, and I would go every Friday for happy hours, and I tipped very well. We eventually got married and have two sons. But back to John, every time I meet with John, he looks at my feet first to make sure I'm wearing Nikes. Not wearing them today, wearing dress shoes, but certainly try to abide. Thanks to my dear friends, Professors Dan Willis and Murdad Hadiki, who invited me over the years to engage with the architectural department and the students. And it's been a joy to work with these students. They're so talented, so energetic, hardworking. And I've been mentoring them, portfolio reviews, design reviews. They call on me, and I really enjoy it. And paying it forward is what people talk about. It's a great thing. Very common to Penn State. But I also hire, I give internships, and really continue mentoring these young architects. There are a number of young architects that I've mentored. My entourage in the audience today, I want to call them out. Eamon, Zainab, Neosha, Sydney, and Parachi, who's a current fifth-year student, interned with us over the summer. We have about a dozen in KPF, the greater KPF network, and growing. We have a really good time. It's a really great community of Penn Staters in New York. But reflecting on it, and you heard some of the names, it's really great to see how the university has become more diverse since I was here in the 80s. Most of the students I'm mentoring and hiring they weren't born in the U.S. They were born in other countries. They speak multiple languages. They have a very different worldview, perspective. And most of the people I'm mentoring are women. Architecture has really changed over the last 20, 30 years, which is a great thing. This brings a lot of different perspective to the work, to the school, university, and to my studio. We benefit from the diversity. Lastly, I want to thank my parents. They always loved coming to State College, Arts Festival. They would drop me off and hang out. They loved being here. They loved the restaurants, the way of life. My father was an architect, and so I want to recognize my father passed away over COVID, but he was a role model and my biggest cheerleader. He used to watch my projects. He would, probably in Philadelphia, he would drive by and look at it, take pictures, and we had a common bond through architecture over my career. Anyway, thanks to the Alumni Association. This is a great event. I'm humbled by the whole event. Thank you.
And now, I'm very tall in my mind. Would David Skidmore please join me? David Skidmore has been a leader in journalism and strategic communications his entire life, serving as the linchpin for delivering the biggest of impactful messages in terms of life-altering news and information to constituencies nationally and globally, and of course, to all those who are blue and white proud. The Daily Collegian here at Penn State was an early stop in his career. He served as the editor-in-chief at a time when the daily printed circulation was 20,000 and delivered the source of news for the entire Penn State community. His journalism career would feature many notable highlights, including as a 16-year veteran writer for the Associated Press in Washington, D.C. David was the primary wire service reporter, delivering news about the U.S. economy, banking, and taxes to hundreds of millions of readers across the world. As the chief spokesperson and the primary strategic communications and media relations leader for the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve of the U.S. government, what David wrote, said, and created as the chief speechwriter for the chair of the Fed impacted and influenced the monetary systems of the entire world. I can't even imagine the pressures of that job. He retired in 2020 from the Federal Reserve Board, where he served under both Alan Greenspan and Jerome Powell. A proud graduate of what is now the Donald P. Belisario College of Communications, David currently works as a writing and editing consultant to the Economic Studies program of the Brookings Institution, a nonprofit public policy organization based in Washington, D.C. In 2021, he established the David Skidmore Journalism Scholarship in the Donald P. Belisario College of Communications. This supports journalism students, particularly those participating in the embedded Stanley E. Degler Washington, D.C. program. We're so grateful that David serves as a mentor to communication students and provides them with insight, direction, and supports their assignments. He has also been instrumental in the development of the program's new Washington News Bureau. Congratulations, David. We're so proud to present you with the Alumni Fellow Award.
Thank you, President Benduputi, for that very kind introduction. And I must confess that when Belisario College Alumni Coordinator Mike Poorman reminded me that I was expected to speak at this dinner, I panicked just a little bit. And that might seem laughable, given that a goodly part of my job during 20 years at the Federal Reserve was writing and editing speeches, but those were speeches for other people. I mostly lurked in the back of the room as they delivered them and checked the markets to see whether they're going up or down. This evening, I must be the face of my own words and live up to the expectations of my best editor, my wife, Marcia Silverberg. And she graciously accompanied me to this land of the blue and the white, even though she graduated from one of those elite New England institutions that doesn't field a decent football team. Anyway, I was astonished when Mike told me that I had been chosen to receive an Alumni Fellow Award. It's not the usual sort of thing that comes to retired bureaucrats who lurked in the background. But astonishment quickly gave way to gratitude. So enormous thanks to Dean Hardin, Professor Bob Richards, and my former Daily Collegian colleague Bob Frick for putting my name forward. And, you know, to paraphrase a catchphrase from an old Saturday Night Live routine from the 1970s, Penn State has been very, very good to me. I simply could not have enjoyed the career that I have enjoyed without the education and experience I received as a student in Penn State's journalism program and at the Daily Collegian. My Penn State education gave me three things: knowledge, both practical and theoretical, hands-on experience, lots of it, and sound values. And of those three elements, knowledge, experience, and values, by far the most important has been values. Professors such as Gene Goodwin, John Rippey, Tom Berner, Bill Delaney, and Bill Paff drummed into us the importance of fairness, objectivity, dogged reporting, vivid, direct, accurate writing, and reverence for the First Amendment. And those values remain at the core of the journalism curriculum, as I've learned from speaking with Belisario students this week. That's crucial, of course, to the students' future success, but it's crucial to the future of our society. As the homepage of the Department of Journalism on the Belisario College website reminds us, journalism matters. The values, knowledge, and experience that these students will carry into their careers matters, especially now. Our country, indeed the world, has been through a lot these past few years, and I needn't elaborate. And journalism has been through a lot too. It seems that now anyone with a Twitter account, if they're meme savvy, can reach thousands, if not millions of people. Meanwhile, local newspapers fold and shrink. The newspaper where I worked right after I graduated, the Bethlehem Globe-Times, no longer exists. The newspaper where I interned between my junior and senior years, the Pottstown Mercury, is now owned by a hedge fund and has a single reporter working from home covering Pottstown. So that's why I was especially excited to learn about the Belsario College's student-staffed Washington News Bureau, which launches this spring. It'll give students an opportunity to gain much-needed professional experience. It'll allow them to apply sound journalism values in the real world, and at the same time, it'll help resource-starved local media. Students' stories about the Pennsylvania delegation in Congress and national issues of importance to Pennsylvania will appear in state news outlets. So I'm very happy to support that program. To conclude, I'm proud to be a Penn State journalism graduate, and as I said, very appreciative of this award. Thank you for it, but most of all, thank you, Dean Harden and colleagues, for preparing today's communications students to meet the challenges of the future with knowledge, experience, and values. Thank you.
And now, would Joseph Snyder please join me? Joseph Snyder is an entrepreneur who founded the business Process and Data Automation in 2002 and has grown it into a premier control system integration and data services company. Specializing in automation system design and programming, this company delivers technical solutions for a professionally managed system. More than 40 employees call this company home, and I love this part. More than half of them are proud Penn State Barron alumni. Yes. Joe earned his engineering degree from Penn State Barron and kept his tie to the campus community by engaging with our students and contributing to their education. Process Data and Automation has been a longtime sponsor of capstone design projects, and its professionals have served on our engineering advisory boards, helped to develop curricula, and they've been generous mentors to our students at Penn State Barron. Before his academic tenure, Joe served in the U.S. Army in missile systems support and as a paratrooper before landing at Penn State Barron to set off on this lifelong relationship as a Penn Stater. His sons, Tim and Nicholas, are also recent graduates of Penn State Barron. Joe serves on the Barron School of Engineering Advisory Board and the Electrical Engineering Technology Industry Advancement Committee. He also was instrumental in bringing process and data automation to Knowledge Park at Penn State Barron so that students receive internships as well as a global experience close to home. Joe, having been to Barron and seen the impact you're making, it is a special privilege to present you with the Alumni Fellow Award.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Benduputi. I certainly appreciate this, and I would like to thank the Alumni Association and all the people involved in the nomination and award process. I'd like to begin by thanking my wife, Cheryl, for backing every play I made. As I learned the ropes out of school and I started the business so young,
especially with a growing family at home. When I look back on the 20 years that process and data automation has been in business, I have to ask myself sometimes whether it really even happened or not. It's been incredible to see what the people of PDA have accomplished, and I'm humbled to have been part of the key role in putting it all together and shepherding it for the first 18 years of its existence. We recognized early on that PDA is entirely a people-based business, and without the work done by our staff, we would have literally nothing to offer to our clients. So our hiring had to be spot on, especially in the early going. We couldn't afford to bring anyone who couldn't actually do the work and grow into higher positions with the company as we grew both in size and the projects that we had grew in complexity. We leveraged Penn State Barron specifically grads for nearly every open position over those early years, and we enjoyed tremendous success as a result. Over time, we incepted new positions and even full departments, and we continued to hire regularly from Penn State. Of course, we had, and they still have, the challenge of finding the personality and position mixes, but we could always trust that the Penn State alum would arrive able to technically do the work. Thank you, Dr. Ford and your staff and those who've come before you for working so closely with us and me that allowed me to succeed and ultimately earn this award, really on behalf of the entire organization. Thank you all very much.
Would Dr. Ayla Stanford please join me? Fondly known as the godmother of community health outreach, Dr. Stanford practiced pediatric surgery until the COVID-19 pandemic hit. She then founded the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium in April of 2020 to provide coronavirus testing in Black communities of Philadelphia, where testing rates were exceptionally low and COVID rates were exceptionally high. This critical, crucial community health service went right to work. The Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium tested more than 25,000 people for the coronavirus, and they administered more than 75,000 vaccines to Philadelphians. Because of this work, Philadelphia was named the top city in the nation for vaccinating people of color in all urban areas of the United States. And just last year, the Dr. Ayla Stanford Center for Health Equity was open to provide important services for healthcare inequities that exist for underserved populations. This trailblazer of Philadelphia, Dr. Stanford, was named a CNN Hero of the Year in 2021 for her tireless advocacy of underserved communities and advocating for the need for quality healthcare. Her award profile includes recognition from Fortune magazine, Forbes, the Pennsylvania Society, the City of Philadelphia, and several medical industry journals as a highlight of her caring spirit and the need to shed light on the scope of her work. In her current role as a U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Regional Director, she ensures that communities across her 6-state region have access to the information and resources they need to stay safe and healthy, with an emphasis on advancing equity in every aspect of care. Dr. Stanford began her college career at opposite ends of the state, with Penn State Abington and Penn State Barron, where she notably created the Barron track and field program. Her biology degree from the Eberly College of Science then led her to a medical degree from the College of Medicine. Dr. Stanford is the first African-American female pediatric surgeon to be trained entirely in the United States. She was nominated by Penn State Abington, Penn State Barron, the Eberly College of Science, and the College of Medicine for her work. And we are proud. We are proud to recognize her as a Penn Stater who's doing incredible work, not just in Philadelphia and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but now she's also a global influence on healthcare. Dr. Stanford, it's our privilege to call you our very own and to present you with the Alumni Fellow Award.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Thank you very much, President Benduputi, and thank you for the nominations from all of my Penn State family. I literally looked at a Pennsylvania map and I picked the place the furthest away from Philadelphia because as a teenager, I was ready to get out of the house. Little did I know that I would be nurtured and I would have the foundation that I needed. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life then. But just remember, that was 34 years ago that I started as a freshman at Penn State, at Barron. And I was a little black girl from Philly at 17 in a place that was so far away and so foreign to me. And I was different, and they were different. But yet and still, I felt supported. We were different, but we respected one another's differences. As I was preparing for this, and my husband is over there and has been on this journey with me, I found this award from Penn State Erie, and it says the Barron College Student Activity Leadership Award presented to ALA Stanford in 1989-1990. And I say this to Dr. Ford because someone at Barron 34 years ago saw something in me that maybe everyone else did not see. And then I came to University Park where I was a Lion Ambassador. I was also a Lion Ambassador in Barron, so shout out, you know. I was singing the fight song over here. I loved card block. My love of football honestly came from card block and being at the games. And I remember seeing Ray Charles at the theater. I remember when Alex Haley came to Penn State and he talked about the autobiography of Malcolm X. I lived in Bigler and East Halls and pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, which will now be 32 years that I've been a member. And I just felt supported. And again, we were a small fraction, the Black community on this campus. And I still, like I said, we were different. For the first time, I was somewhere where everyone didn't look like me. And for many of the other students, it was the first time that they were seeing someone that didn't look like them. And we figured it out. So what I can say, what Penn State taught me is how to function in both worlds. To function in a Black world, to function in a white world, to function and be able to talk to and interact with anyone who's Indian, who's Latinx, who's indigenous, who's LGBTQ, who's heterosexual, who's whatever, and respect them and listen to them and embody what they may share with me in our cultural differences. And so my charge and what I would say to Penn State is keep doing that, because if you could do it 34 years ago with an unpolished child straight out of North Philadelphia, imagine what you can do with all the students that are coming on this campus. And so I'm grateful for what you gave to me and what you will continue to do for the next generation. And for all the students that are sitting here, we expect all of you to outshine us because we are. All right. So thank the mothers that see.
Here you go. Our final award recipient of the evening is a longtime volunteer and a supporter of the Smeal College of Business and of all Penn State. Would George Strickler please join me? A 1969 graduate of the Smeal College of Business and celebrating his 20 years of giving back to the college as a member of the Smeal Board of Visitors, George Strickler serves as chairman of the board of Summa Health, a $1.8 billion nonprofit health organization that provides integrated and coordinated care for the people of Northeast Ohio. He's also president and CEO of Hickory Ridge Industries. George has spent 5 decades as a senior global executive leading major corporations, including Goodyear Tire, Borg Warner, Stone Ridge, Republic Engineered Products, and Lake West. He has held various leadership roles, including EVP and CFO, COO, Chief Accounting Officer, and Treasurer across a variety of industries, including automotive, commercial, agricultural, consumer, and distribution services. Most recently, George joined the Summa Health Board of Directors in 2018 and was appointed chairman of the board in January 2019. His volunteer leadership has led the organization through the pandemic and guided them to the construction of a 60-bed new behavioral health facility that's set to open next year. George has been such an active member of the Smeal Board of Visitors since 2002, sharing his career insights with students, participating, judging case competitions, and he's been a major philanthropic supporter. As a mentor, George has fostered strong relationships with Penn State graduates, helping them forge successful careers as industry leaders. George received the Smeal Distinguished Achievement Award in 2020, and he was honored for his philanthropic support and community leadership in 2021. Congratulations, George. It's such an honor for me to present this Alumni Fellow Award to you.
You know, these are all tough acts to follow, but I want to talk about the journey of life. And many of you don't know this, but I grew up almost 70 years ago where the Bryce Jordan Center, my father was in the military, came back from the Korean War, and we lived in a trailer camp right where Bryce Jordan sits today, and there was a chicken farm down below where my 2 aunts worked. And my mother and father divorced when I was in the 3rd grade, and I moved to Ohio. So I was really torn after graduation in 1969. I applied to Ohio State, and I applied to Penn State. But I have my uncle here, Don Strickler. He's 90 years old. And my aunt, who's 84 years old, Ruth Ann, called me, and they said, you have to give Penn State a chance. So I came up to the campus, and I fell in love with it, and I enrolled in 1965 and graduated in 1969. And the Strickler family, it's been a tradition. They were all first generation. So I had my father, my uncle, my 3 aunts, and actually one of the uncles that was married to an aunt was the dean of the geology school. So Penn State's been in our lifeblood forever. When I graduated, I went back to Goodyear because I was number 6 in the Vietnam War draft, and I didn't want to go into as a military officer. And so I enrolled in the Army Reserves. But my first day at Goodyear, I got a call from the chief financial officer, and his name was J.R. Hicks. And here I find out he was a Penn State graduate. He introduced me to Bob Blaine, who was the vice president of human resources. And it started a journey in my life. And he came back to me about a year and a half later. And I had a mentor called Tom Whiteman and J.R. Hicks. And they convinced me I should think about going overseas. And I was in law school for 2 years. So I transferred. I got my MBA from Akron U. And I got my CPA. And one day he came around the corner of my office and he says, did you have enough? And I said, what do you mean by do I have enough? And he said, "Are you ready to go overseas?" And I accepted that. My wife said, "Well, as long as we go to Canada, that's fine." But it wasn't Canada. So I'm in my late 20s, early 30s, and I go, and I'm the treasurer of Goodyear Brazil, and all my banks are Brazilian and speaking Portuguese. So I went home with a headache for the first 6 months, and after that, I started getting fluent in Portuguese. We transferred to Peru, so I speak a little Portuñol today as opposed to just Portuguese or Spanish. But I did leave Goodyear after 30 years. I was at the Harvard AMP program, and Michael Porter was in our session one day with leadership, and he said, "There's only one person responsible for your career, and that's yourself." And I had a very good friend that I got to know, and he worked in Asia, I worked in Latin America, and he became the CEO of Borg Warner. And I joined him as the CFO in 2001, and we made an amazing trend on that company. We converted it from a mechanical to an electronic company, and we grew it from 1.8 billion to 5.4 billion. Well, one day I was sitting in the office, and my assistant said, "Do you know a Dean Judy Olean?" And I said, "Well, I know her." And she said, "She wants to have dinner with you tonight." And I said, "Well, I got a lot of commitments, and I can't just change everything." But Judy convinced me I should go to dinner that night. And we had a board of visitors with 8 people at the time. I joined them in 2002, and today we have one of the most enriched boards I've ever contributed with. We have nearly 32 people from around the world. And I always said on a board, you'd sit there for 5 or 6 years, but it was so enriching to me. I've been on the board almost 20 years, and I give a lot of credit to Dean Whiteman and to Michelle and what the Smeal team does, and people like Gene and Larry are on that board. And then I was honored by this, and Dean Whiteman called me before he was going on a golf trip to Scotland. And he says, "You've been honored as the fellow." And I said, "What's a fellow?" And so I looked it up online, and I said, "Geez, this is really a nice honor." And here I find out that Michelle and my wife have been talking for quite a while, getting reference letters and all that stuff. And my wife usually tells me everything, but in this case, she never did tell me anything. So it was a complete surprise to me. But, you know, I've been honored for a lot of things over my total career. But I'll tell you, the most proudest thing I have is my family. We have 4 great children. Education is a strong part of that. George and Steve are both Penn State graduates. Todd escaped my influence of Penn State, and he went to UCLA. But the day it was announced UCLA is part of the Big Ten, I called him and I said, "I now have you back in the Big Ten." And then Lauren, she went to Dartmouth and got her master's degree, and she's with the Washington football team. And I said, "There's no correlation here, except that Jawan Dotson is now their star receiver. He's had 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks." So, you know, I guess there is alliances with Penn State. But I think it's really about relationships and what you do with the risk and opportunities you have in your career. And I've had a lot of opportunities. I've worked for 5 major corporations. And Kevin, you touched me tonight about behavioral health. And one of the reasons, as chairman of Summa Health, that we built a behavioral health facility, $87 million, it's opening up in January. During the pandemic, we've seen so much child abuse, spousal abuse, and drug addiction that we were convicted that we needed to do that. And going back in my history, I grew up on a farm in Blairsville, Pennsylvania. My dad was the general manager of State Mental Institution in Torrance, in Blairsville, which all got shut down. We had 5 in Pennsylvania, we had 6 in Ohio, and they're all gone today. And you wonder where our mental health capabilities have gone. Well, they've disappeared because we stopped them in state funding. So I want to thank Chuck Whiteman and Michelle for this honor. I know they recommended working with my wife. And I want to thank the Alumni Association. And I'll tell you, I sat in amazement tonight listening to all the honorees and the graduates we have at Penn State. And I traveled the world for 45 years. And everywhere I went, I met a Penn Stater. And it's like you knew that individual for 20 years. So we are all Penn State proud. My 4 children, my wife is an adopted Penn Stater. So I applaud all of you for the recognition tonight and all the other Penn State graduates we have of 770,000 alumni, which is truly outstanding. Thank you very much, and it's quite an honor that I now recognize.
Wow. Wouldn't you agree? What a lineup of award recipients. I am genuinely moved by the opportunity, the glory, the honor, the privilege of being the president of such an incredible university. I want you to know a couple of things before I bring up Kelly Lynch, who actually leads our Alumni Association. So a couple of things I want to remind you. When Kelly comes up here, she will make remarks, we'll sing the alma mater. I want to remind you all what the alma mater means. The alma mater, Latin for the nourishing mother, the nurturing mother. That came through in your comments, what Penn State has meant for each of you. Thank you. I'm counting on you. You are my inaugural class of Alumni Fellows. So let me give you your homework assignment. After Kelly is done, I want all the award recipients to come up here because I want a photograph with you. I know you already got your group photo, I couldn't make it, but I want you to come back up here, and that photograph will hang in my office as a reminder to me of what Penn State is and the obligation we have to nurture the next generation to go well beyond what you have done. Isn't that what we want? That we always want Penn State to shine bright. The second thing is my name actually means blue. Neely means blue. So I know, right, Venkat, my husband of 38 years is here, and it means I'm where I'm supposed to be. So I'm counting on you to help me guide this institution to do what it has done for you for many, many more students to come. And if you don't listen to me and don't keep in touch, I am the president. I'll go back and change your grades. I'm capable of that. But truly, I want all of our alumni for a moment. You've all reflected upon how other people have meant so much to you, what they have done to get you here. I want to remind you that that's the wisdom of Penn State. I love that Penn State is not I am. Penn State is we are. Penn State recognizes we're only as strong as, we can only flourish as much as the teams and the families we are part of, that we build, that we create, that we nurture. So for just a moment, could you all please think of your cheerleaders? I'm calling on our award winners now. Your support system, the people who've stood by you, the people who are smiling down upon you from above. Please give them all a round of applause. On behalf of this university, congratulations to each and every one of you. I'm now pleased to introduce, for her closing remarks, Kelly Lynch, the 82nd president of the Penn State Alumni Association. Kelly earned a Bachelor of Science degree in finance from the Penn State Business School, now the Smeal College of Business, an MBA from Carnegie Mellon's Tepper School of Business. She was appointed to the Alumni Council's Executive Board in 2017, elected as Vice President in 2019, and she started her role as President in 2021. Professionally, she spent her career leading finance, customer satisfaction, and human resources teams, and in helping to grow international companies. She's an active volunteer at Penn State Greater Allegheny. I knew I liked Kelly Lynch the very first time I met her. Now we know why. We're also birthday twins, aren't we? Please join me in welcoming the Alumni Association President, Kelly Lynch.
I think someone else said I'm going to record that also and bring that around with me and say, here, listen to our president. But thank you very much, Dr. Benduputi. I appreciate it. And while, to repeat what everyone else has said, what a remarkable group of Penn Staters. And on behalf of the more than 750,000 alumni and our more than 172,000 Alumni Association members, I again would like to congratulate this year's class of Alumni Fellows. Each Alumni Fellow has helped to make Penn State the institution that it is today. In the words of Eric Walker, Penn State's 12th president, wherever you go, Penn State will go with you. You are now a part of her. Her image will be cast in your image. Your reputation will become her reputation. And what a reputation our alumni have built over the last 164 years. Alumni Fellows, no one has reflected more honor and prestige on Penn State than each of you. On behalf of the Alumni Association, I am honored to congratulate you, our new Alumni Fellows. For the university, for the glory, for the future, we are. Thank you. And we're very good at tradition. Before we close out our ceremony with the singing of our alma mater, I'd like to invite those attending in person to come tonight and celebrate all of our Alumni Fellow by joining us at the Hintz Family Alumni Center. Please see the back of your program if you need directions. I'd also like to send a special thank you to all of you who have joined us via live stream tonight. I know all of the award winners definitely appreciated your support far and wide. So now, to close out this evening, please rise if you're able and help us to sing the alma mater as we raise the song together.